Most likely, if you're running ads on LinkedIn, you are using the sponsored content ad format. And this ad format is the most popular and, yes, extremely effective. However, it's not my favorite. My favorite ad format on LinkedIn is the text ad format. It definitely doesn't look as pretty as sponsored content, I'll give you that one. However, it's given us ways to expand our reach, build brand awareness, grow impression share, lower cost per clicks, and lower our cost per conversion numbers. So in this video, we're going to show you how text ads can appear in the wild. We're going to go over the campaign objectives that allow you to use LinkedIn text ads. We'll go over the ad specs of a text ad, and then we'll show you some examples of how they are effective in a few of our accounts. There are a few ad sizes for text ads for LinkedIn, and we'll get to those soon. But because there are a few different ad sizes, the text ad format can appear differently depending on the placement on the platform. But when you're creating the ad, you can see we can have an image, there's a headline, and some description text. Yes, of course, there's a URL to send people to your website. That's part of it, and that'll happen when the user clicks on the ad. But this example right here that I'm pulling from the LinkedIn Marketing Solutions website, we can see there are 3 text ads stacked together from 3 different ad accounts, and it's appearing off to the right-hand side. Now in this example, it's on the My Network page. You could see it on the home feed. Most likely you're going to see something different and the ads are going to refresh depending on which page you're visiting and how often you visit LinkedIn. Like I said, there are a variety of ad sizes for text ads. But let's hop in to LinkedIn Ads Manager, and then we'll go over the steps of how you can create them for your campaigns. Now that we're in LinkedIn Campaign Manager, let's go up and create a new campaign. Choose your proper campaign group, and then we can hit Next. Like any LinkedIn campaign, you have to select a specific campaign objective. And Michelle has a really in-depth video about each of the LinkedIn campaign objectives, which you can look at right here. But LinkedIn text ads aren't available in every single campaign objective. They are only available in 3 of the objectives. And those are brand awareness, website visits, and website conversions. Video views, lead gen, and job applicants have very specific campaign goals. And because of that, they have pretty specific ad formats. And engagement is a little bit more open. There are several ad formats for an engagement campaign. It's just that text ads is not one of them. Pretty much due to the placements of where text ads can appear, they get the lowest click-through rate and they get the lowest engagement compared to the other formats. So that makes sense of why it's not part of the engagement objective. So for this one, I'm going to choose website visits. I'm not going to go through the actual campaign setup, but pretty much next you would want to choose your targeting. We also have another video that talks about most of the targeting options on LinkedIn. You can watch that one here. But for now, I'm just going to search for one thing just so we can keep on moving. Shout out to everybody at PPC Chat. So this hypothetical campaign will target anyone who's part of the PPC Chat member group. If I scroll down a little bit, here we see the ad format. And if you're not really familiar with LinkedIn, their ad testing options can be frustrating sometimes. So you can only choose one ad format for your campaign. So if you want to test a single image ad and a text ad, you're going to have 2 different campaigns. That is why I said in the intro, text ads can be a good way to expand your reach and get more impressions. They focus on a different placement than some of these other ad formats. So yes, you will need another campaign and another budget. And you can see when I clicked text ad, the LinkedIn Audience Network setting has been disabled. That is because LinkedIn text ads are only shown on the desktop version of a user's feed. So if you're an account that just consistently sees better results from a desktop experience, it could be another reason for you to want to test out text ads. If we look up above, you still see the audience expansion is enabled. That is due to your audience targeting, not the placement. So if you don't want to use audience expansion, you will have to go and uncheck that. This is a fake campaign. I'm not going to run it, so I don't care. I'm going to leave it checked. Then you have your daily budget, your start date, your bids. Make sure you have your conversion tracking set up. And then once we hit next, we can start creating our ad variants. But before we do, I want to talk over the advertising specs for LinkedIn text ads. Don't worry, we will go back to the ads manager and go through a physical text ad setup. But first I wanted to cover the exact specifications for LinkedIn text ads, just so you can come back and refer to this video if you ever need to quickly find the specifications. And we'll have a specific timestamp for this in the video description. But the first part of a text ad will be the image. The image has to be 100 by 100 pixels. You can't just upload any square image. It's going to get rejected. If you already have a square image, that's great. Just go to Google, find an image resizer, and make sure it's 100 by 100 pixels. Pretty easy to do. It has to be a JPEG or PNG, and the file size cannot be more than 2 megabytes. Next will be the headline. Your headline has to be 25 characters or less. Your headline cannot exceed 25 characters. Then after your headline, you will have your description. We get a little bit more room to play here, but your description cannot exceed 75 characters. And then the last part will be the URL for your text ads. The URL cannot be more than 500 characters. This includes any tracking parameters you attach to the URL. And as part of those 500 characters, you have to include the prefix of the HTTP or HTTPS as you see on the screen right here. Now, LinkedIn has said certain special characters could cause the ad to pull up an error when you're trying to save or launch it. This will be an issue while you're trying to save the ad. It's not an issue where it would happen after you save it or after you launch it and then you start seeing errors pop up. So you'll get the notification pretty quick if your URL is pulling up an error. Try to see if you can save the URL you are trying to use without any parameters. If it saves through, then you know it's a special character issue. You can always go back into the ad, edit the URL, but if you're still seeing those errors pop up, you are allowed to use URL encoders to try to get past some of those query strings that are pulling up the error. But since this is a simple ad format, these are all the specs. So now let's hop back into LinkedIn Ads Manager and go through the ad setup. Now that we know the ad specs, we can start creating some ad variants. So let's go to the link and create a new ad. And as I start adding each of the elements to this text ad, you will be able to see the ad preview update on the right-hand side. So first I'm going to choose my image. Now I have my screen blown up a little bit, so you can still probably see our faces. However, knowing that this is a 100 by 100 pixel, this may not be the best image. Look at the LinkedIn examples below. They have their main company image or logo in there, and that is commonly what I use for my clients' accounts. You're not going to have enough room to have a logo plus text of your brand name in it. It's going to be too small for a user to see. So use a singular image that's going to stand out and potentially be common if someone checks out your LinkedIn company page and hopefully goes to your website and sees the same familiar image. Next, you have your headline. And with only 25 characters, you don't get a lot of room. Not only are the characters limited, but if we're looking in the preview, we're sandwiched with 2 other ads. So you need to make sure your headline is compelling. Get to the point. Call out your best value statement, or maybe test being bold and putting your call to action in the headline right away. We don't get a call to action button like many of the other ad formats do. So you're going to have to include it somewhere within your headline or the description. So I can now pop down to my description. There's one option, and then we can hop down to the URL. I'm not going to include any parameters, but understand you need to have those parameters within your URL in this section here. And for whatever reason, if you don't feel you have a great landing page experience, you can send people to your company page. You see, the visual part of the ad does not change at all. It's just going to be where you're sending users once they click on your text ad. I personally have never sent it to the company page, so I'm going to go back to the website. As I said before, this is a desktop-only ad format. So in the preview, we just get desktop. But we can see how this ad will look in the main right column, which is going to be the most common placement. But then you may also see some of the top banners. Notice that the image went away. If I go back up, there's the large top banner, and our image is back. If everything looks good, we can head down and create. So that is just one option. I personally like to add around 4 options for each of my campaigns. This will allow me to test different images, different headlines, different descriptions, and even for some clients, the ability to test different URLs. We're going to see in the next section that we talk about that click-through rate for these ads are low, but I still want to test out engagement for these campaigns. This is a very affordable way to get traffic. And the only way for us to get traffic is for people to actually click on these ads. So ad testing for text ads is still important. So as I said, there's really no need for me to create a bunch of variants. I'm not going to launch this campaign. Just make sure you understand it's important to always test your ads. Even if you don't get a ton of clicks from this campaign, if you don't try anything new, how can you ever expect better results? So if I would go hit next and everything looks good, I've gone through my targeting, gone through my budgets and my bidding options, then you can launch the campaign. The setup is pretty easy. But to close out this video, I want to hop into a client account and show you the benefits we typically see in almost all of the LinkedIn ad accounts that we work on that use text ads. Since this is an actual client account, I had to blur out the campaign names. But if you look over here, you see I typed in SC. I label my sponsored content campaigns with SC, and you can see I've filtered out half of the campaigns within this campaign group. So these are all my sponsored content campaigns. Some of the campaigns are converting well, some aren't. But the thing I want you to focus on is that for these sponsored content campaigns, look at our manual bids. That's what we're actually bidding on for each of these targeting options. But then right below each of the manual bids is the recommended range from LinkedIn. This is the bid range that other advertisers going after similar audiences are bidding. Pretty expensive. Let me go back and change the filter. So instead of sponsored content, I'm changing it to TXT. And look how much lower our manual bids are for pretty much the same targeting options. We have slightly less amount here, so we're not doing everything that we're doing from the sponsored content standpoint, but still. Not only are our manual bids lower, but even the recommended range from LinkedIn is a lot lower. We typically see the text ad format is a lot less competitive. And when it's a lot less competitive, we don't have to pay as much. Now I'm going to open up another screen that's going to have the sponsored content campaigns filtered, and we're going to hop back and forth into these different filters just so we see the differences. All right, now I want you to focus on the click-through rate column. For our sponsored content main feed ads, we're seeing a 0.28%. If I hop back up to the text ads, same date range, but look how much lower that click-through rate is. Do not be frightened from that extremely low click-through rate. That is pretty much the norm for LinkedIn text ads. They are not in the main feed. They're off to the side or in teeny tiny little banners that you may not even notice were even there, just like most of the other users on LinkedIn. But look at the amount of impressions, and that's why this could be valuable. Even if you're getting such a low frequency of users clicking your ad, it could be a good opportunity to run text ads to get your logo out there and maybe toss in your brand name as a headline or a branded product or service as the headline to get some free impression share. While you can do a CPM model, I love to do CPC for text ads because if nobody's clicking on it, it's just free awareness. Why would you turn down free awareness? All right, now I'm going to go back into the sponsored content screen. Again, same client. Look at the screen right here. Average CPC, $8.34. Going back to my text ads, pretty much the same targeting, $2.57. Another winner. Going back to the sponsored content screen one time, I switched the columns to show conversions and leads. This account is only running conversion objective campaigns. We see the time range is this month so far. It has received 16 conversions, 13 click conversions, 3 view conversions for an 18.82% conversion rate. And one more time, let's hop back into the text ads screen. For pretty much the same targeting options with a lot lower spend, this month we've gotten 41 conversions. 7 of them are click, 34 are view. And that conversion rate is pretty high. A lot of these options are PDF downloads, and we're tracking each one separately. So the same user can do multiple actions, but it's still important for this account because they have to give some information for each of the downloads. So from an internal number perspective, we're scoring that user higher because they're showing a deeper intent by downloading multiple options. It is still extremely valuable for this account. But even if you don't care about view conversions, we have 7 click conversions from $95 compared to 16 conversions from $917. So the cost per click conversion for our text ads is around $13.60. Our cost per click conversion for the sponsored content campaigns is just over $57. This is why we love text ads so much. Again, I will admit we will do sponsored content first. We like to get a good benchmark. We feel we can showcase the brand better visually with a sponsored content ad. I have never denied that. But when it comes to pure results, text ads for us have typically been a lot cheaper, and it's helping us expand our reach to the exact same audiences. We are literally duplicating our sponsored content campaigns, the exact same targeting options, but just adding them as text ads, hitting up the same audience. Cheaper cost per clicks, cheaper cost per conversions. This is just one example, but we are replicating this within many accounts and seeing the exact same results. Text ads do not have the volume, but from the actual key results that we're optimizing towards are collectively much better with a text ad format than a sponsored content format. And this is also while confirming the quality of the leads coming from these campaigns with our internal CRMs. Hopefully this video gave you the confidence to go beyond what you're used to doing with sponsored content ads. Use LinkedIn's text ads to expand upon your reach and hit up the exact same targeting options for much lower costs. Very effective if you're running on a lower budget. That's all I have right now about LinkedIn text ads. If you have any questions or comments on how they've worked for you, please let everyone else know in the comments below.
Thanks for watching our video. If you found it useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to see more from the Paid Media Pros channel, be sure to subscribe.